So this is my stocks pick of the week for week commencing the 7th of July 2025. So again, using the Stocks Predator, looking at that confluence meter and those end of day scans. So this is a Saturday morning. I'm just, doing my thing. I either do it on a Saturday or Sunday where I'm looking through those results and looking for potential. So the first thing on this end of day scan is I'm only interested in buys. So I'm looking for 3 green. So I've got 33 stocks and ETFs, which out of nearly 5,000, which are in full confluence. That means that directional flow has increased and they've got confluence from, imagine it's a river, like 3 tributaries all close together, causing that increased directional flow. So I want to filter that down a little bit more, but also I just wanted to quickly look. There's an ETF in there. Always interested when we get an ETF in that situation. Now this one, if I just go big on here, this one is near the highs. Doesn't mean it's not a good buy, because every time we get confluence, you see where we get the green triangle, the 5, the 6 star buys, we get good moves. This recent one, beginning of the year, was a really great move here. And just because we're at the highs doesn't mean we're not ready to go again. We've breached those previous highs at this point here at 34.40, and in theory we've got fresh air. So if we're looking to add to this ETF and we've got full confluence here, I'll just zoom in a little bit. We have the green triangle with the roller coaster. We got a 6 star buy, and we got all 6 green on the buyer's depth heat map. This full confluence, we've breached this previous high. This is a good time to add to this position, or even start this position. People that wait for that falling knife, it never, those lows, it may never happen. Even if you buy here at these highs and we do get a pullback, you can average that position down. I just wanted to show you that, as a potential. So let's go back and let's filter this a little bit more. So I've got 33, all with meter there, some more. And 1. Okay, so a lot of options traders use beta. Anything greater than 1 is probably a reasonably good options trade. 1.5 even better. I'm just looking at it as a comparison to the markets, the S&P 500. Anything 1 or above, it's on par. It's beating the S&P, and so I've got down to quite a few different ones there. So CEMEX is the one I've chosen. I'm going to go through that today. There are other ones in there that may be good, but I'm just looking at CEMEX. So this is the daily chart. And I'm going to go through the entry in a little while, but what I want to do first is go through how I've framed the chart. It's very, very simple for our Stocks Predators users to do. So when you see something like this CEMEX, and you see on the daily, we're about to breach, and there's a long way up to $9.20. The first thing you do is just go to the monthly. And all I've done on the monthly is put in this trend line. I've connected 3 dots. So we can see overall, every time we get a pullback on the monthly, it has a higher low. So in reality, longer term, this is trending higher. So then I go to the resistance chart for those linear support and resistance zones. And again, it's just joining up the dots. It's not rocket science. We see here there's a major pivot at the bottom. There's a major pivot at the top. This really, in reality, is our target for this particular trade. We've got a pivot here, pivot and clustering here, and this recent move high that came back down, it's trying to push through again, and then this pivot down here, this pivot low, that defines our weekly range. Also gone back a little bit further, to be honest, to look at this really big support at this point here. We got a lot of clustering on the weekly at this point. We got tests here, we got tests here and here. I wanted to get a confluence of this trend line from the monthly and a linear support from the weekly. This confluence is really strong for me to show that even if it comes back down again, we are going in the right type of direction. So I've put those in to give me the framing of the chart, the operational landscape for this particular stock. So I'm going to go back to the daily now and to see if I've got fresh airs. So let's zoom in on this particular stock. So first of all, the scanner has identified that it's had a roller coaster signal. Okay, this just hiding behind this 6-star buy, this green triangle here. That's the first signal. Then we've got a 6-star buy signal on the 3rd of July. Obviously, there was no markets open on the 4th of July. And we also had 6 out of 6 on the bias depth heat map down here. So we have, in reality, a full confluence. So what we're imagine, again, I'll give the analogy as a river. So rivers do flow, and just like stocks flow in a certain direction. But if you get 3 tributaries feeding, or all pretty close together, that directional flow increases, and this is what confluence is when we're looking at stocks in this particular case. So we've basically got a lot feeding all at the same time, so that directional flow looks like it's going to increase. And so we've got to be sensible with this. We had a rejection at this point here around about 7.35. So now we want to make sure that we're above that. We break out of this weekly zone. So a 741 for me is my sensible entry. I always look at the risk to reward here. So you can see just down here, we've got a stop printing for the roller coaster at 662, just below all of these pivots. That's how I work out my risk to reward. Okay, so that's my start point when I'm using a fib extension tool. My second point really is the 741 entry. So what I'm looking for is a risk to reward of 1 to 1.6 or greater. So between stop and entry is one whole one. Yeah. So that's one whole one. And that extension 1.6 is below that here. So we're around about 1 to 2 risk to reward there. So if we're risking $100 worth of shares here, and if it comes back against us, we lose $100. Yeah. Simplest terms, if we're risking $100, we lose $100. But if we risk $100 here, there's $160 there, $200. So it's almost 2x. And it's just a very simplified version. But all it is looking for that fresh air. So that's where I'm going. I'm looking for an entry, a stock market order around 741. Now, be very careful with this. This stock is a Mexican stock listed on the US stock exchange. So it can be quite gappy when we get the opens. You can see here and here as well. So most US stocks just gap on earnings or news, but because this is already sort of listed on the Mexican stock exchange as well, there's always that slight gap for when the US market opens. So just be aware of that and keep an eye on it pre-market to make sure that it's not going to gap up way above your stock market order. So that's one thing always to keep an eye on with these type of stocks. So there's a lot of stocks from around the country. You see here on the scanner, there's a German stock, but that's listed on the US stock exchange. So that will gap as well, because that's already been trading on the German stock exchange. So when it comes to that pre-market, everything looks to catch up with that underlying stock on its original exchange. So there will be gaps. So just be aware of that, not to fire and forget those type of orders. But for me, coming Monday, I am looking for an entry at 741. And at this moment in time, it's quite a cheap stock. So I may look at this as an investment. But if I do then think about this as a swing trade, my stock would be around about 661. I think my initial target is going to be in the middle of there, around about 920. The whole $9 mark is also that emotional sort of price for traders, that whole dollar point as well. But at that point, I can make that decision. So let's just zoom out back on that chart a little bit, not forgetting there are other potentials if we get momentum pushing through this sort of zone here of around about 1020. So there are more potentials here, but we can see when we get full confluence, we do get moves. Okay, And I think this is a good one for stocks pick of the week because it's reasonably cheap as well. Sometimes we've had more expensive stocks, and they're cracking along really nicely. So stocks pick of the week this week is CEMEX, with an entry of 741, initial target around about $9. What I want to do now is just go back and look at those previous stock picks of the week that are still on, and just talk through those. So I'm just going to get rid of the filter, and I'm going to go to my stock pick of the week here. So let's start at the bottom. RSI. This is going well. So we got that entry around about 12.59. We're at 15.04 right now. Brilliant. And again, if you look through the other live streams, stocks picks of the week, you'll find RSI in there as well. It took its time, but some stocks do. But that directional flow is increasing, and it's going in the direction. When we got that confluence, we looked for the long. Again, we'd come down and found good support at this weekly zone. Also, this weekly channel here, really strong looking stock. Now, PRK, again, we got the entry here. It was underwater for a little while, but it's moving quite well now. So it's in stock. It's in profit now. 163.94 was the entry. 177.31 is current price. So it's really good. So Inter, I don't think this didn't even go in. So this again. So when we have these stock market orders, it has to get across the start line. So even though we had that confluence, it needed to really push through this daily zone, and it didn't. So what do? We cancel it. Okay, it's not done what we needed it to do. We got alerts. We didn't react straight away and just put a market order on and buy something. We have those start points. It's got to get through those support and resistance, so we can remove Inter from there because it didn't trigger. HNST was another one. So again, we got that full confluence. We said, we needed a price getting above here to enter. It's been messing around at this weekly zone for a long time. We are getting full confluence again now, but it's been too long. It's been too long in the making. We have got lots of confluence coming in again right now, but I think this one just didn't get the momentum when it needed to do, so I'm going to remove it. Okay. FFIV is the other one. So the next two are where I've had two entries. So we had, this is sort of longer term investment. So this first green line is where I got that first bit of confluence at this point here. And I got that first entry around $270. Then we got some more confluence at this point. So I wanted an entry up here at 290. So the white hash line, because I have two entries here, is my average holding position around about 280, and we're at $300 right now. So working very, very well on this longer term play. I did make a video on this FFIV. I put in where I would see an Elliott wave, fifth wave target zone. So this is the wave 3, this is the wave 4. We're actually basically on that fifth wave for Elliott wave now. On future versions of the Stocks Predator, on the premium version, we're actually going to build in the Elliott wave and scans for that as well. So that's going very, very well. I'll make a decision once we get to this sort of previous wave 3 pivot. If it breaks through this sort of area is my target zone. FEIM, it's a bit choppy this one, but we're still good. Again, two entries on this. We had a move down into this weekly zone. We got full confluence at this point here. This was my first entry. We had a pullback, and then I got another confluence meter sort of result. So I got my second entry at this point, giving my average holding position around about 1876. We did move quite well. It's been a bit choppy this last week, but again, we're still way above my average holding position. So very, very happy with this right now. It's a good sort of long-term play. If I go to the weekly at the moment, we can see this weekly channel that I'm basically trading in here. This has been this started around about October 2023. although this is choppy, it's still kept within this channel, and it's a really good looking play. So this is another one of my previous stocks picks of the week. And just remind those that's not seen these before, these are the two closed stock picks of the week that I've had. Eaton is one of them. This was massive. So we got in at this point here with full confluence. We got through. This is our initial target. It blew through on earnings, and we got out around $20. This was always, again, this is like an Elliott wave, fifth wave move, but we got the full confluence here, and really breached this previous pivot. And whenever you get one of those massive reactions on earnings, it's always best, especially if it's it's a couple of dollars above that initial target. We got out there. The other one that's closed was Block ETF. Again, this is spectacular. And again, if you look back on those on the YouTube channel, please subscribe to the YouTube channel. On those the live stock picks of the week, Block was another one where we got in at this point here. We actually took profit at this second target zone. This line you see here is I drew this before this price action actually happened, and I did this on a webinar to basically show this is what I thought would be a good sort of situation where it would move and then come back again. And this is where we are right now on this. So there's just those previous ones. So please check out the links below for the Stocks Predator. And also, Stocks Pick of the Week, just to remind you, was CEMEX. And check out those other live for those previous Stocks Picks of the Week. So hopefully you have a great weekend, and I'll speak to you all really soon.